Welcome everyone to episode 16 of the Deus Ex Cinema podcast. I'm your host Aaron Clues, joined today by, yet again, Marty Adams.
It's just you and me now.
We're slowly killing everyone else off.
And why couldn't anyone else take this podcast, Aaron?
Because nobody else wanted to watch the movie with us, Marty.
And what was that movie?
Somebody chose the 2008 drama comedy musical.
Drama comedy.
That's what it is on Google.
Okay.
The hour and 52-minute long High School Musical 3 senior year.
It's been a long night.
The first movie of our musical rotation.
And I already hate it.
To be fair, I hated it before we even went in, which is why I picked this movie.
Oh, okay. So some kind of, hipster, when it comes to hating High School Musicals.
No, I just hate musicals in general.
I know, me too.
All right, well, I guess before we get started, Marty, if you want to go into your history with High School Musical or maybe Disney Channel movies in general.
Nickelodeon is better. But, no, I mean, when I was, younger, I was, fucking 13 or something when the first one came out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I could kind of get on with that. It was a popular thing. It wasn't fuck yeah, High School Musical, but, everyone fucking knew about High School Musical. That's what you talked about in 2006.
Yeah, it was a craze.
And then, after that, I was like, maybe I don't care about High School Musical. Maybe I'm 15 or 16 by the time this one comes out. And I'm in high school, and I'm like, that's not what this is like. High school fucking sucks. You
telling me you don't have a treehouse in your backyard that has a sunroof that just opens up with perfect romantic timing?
No, mine blew over in a tornado. So
I had an above ground pool that blew away in a tornado.
Nice.
Anyways,
welcome to Wisconsin. We have tornadoes. For all you people out there that live anywhere but the Midwest.
Anyways, so you watched it in high school. And a little bit of middle school. Mm-hmm. Liked it at first, then stopped liking High School Musical. I guess we should also address that last week I said we would just be watching High School Musical, not High School Musical 3. Mm-hmm. But then I went to look and saw that High School Musical 3 was the only one available for free.
Yeah, we're not going to pay for it.
I didn't want to pay for it, so we just watched the third one.
It's not worth really, $3.
What's the difference, really?
No, there's no difference.
Yeah.
They're just in their 20s now. I don't know. But yeah. What's your experience with High School Musical, Aaron?
I watched all three of them one time in high school when I was 17 years old, and I watched all three of them in one sitting with my girlfriend at the time, trying to get a blowjob the entire time. Did not get one. Don't remember anything of the movies.
Sounds about right.
And as far as other Disney Channel movies go, I can't think of a single one that I ever enjoyed.
I tried that watching The Departed once. Didn't work.
You're talking about getting the blowjob.
Yeah, but then I got too enthralled with the story.
I did have one time, I'm going to go on a side tangent because we need to fluff out this podcast. I did have one time, I was watching... Oh, what fucking movie was it? It wasn't Schindler's List, but it was similar.
I couldn't tell you.
It was some Holocaust movie, and I tried very hard to get a blowjob during that. Tried very, very hard.
Boy in striped pajamas or something?
Yes!
The saddest fucking movie ever made.
I didn't want to watch it, so I tried the entire time to get my dick wet.
That movie is so sad.
It's terribly depressing.
Children die.
But I did not get anything that time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, the girlfriend I had in high school, I never got anything, even though I tried every single time we did anything. Anyways, let's talk about High School Musical 3.
Honestly,
year.
That stuff was a lot more akin to real high school, though, than
right?
This one.
If there had been a scene where Troy is just begging Gabriella to just touch it over his jeans.
Just slowly trying to work his hand up, but it's just not happening.
And hey, she keeps being like, no, my mom's going to come in.
Hey, you want to play chicken?
If there was just at least some sexual tension between the two of them.
No, that's what their purity rings are for. Oh my god.
Is that something in the other two movies? Are those actual purity rings?
No, those are the high school rings, because, high school's everything. High school's awesome.
Oh god, did you get a high school ring?
Oh, fuck no.
Oh, you should have gotten a
fucking,
high school ring.
was it Jostens?
Yeah, Jostens.
The fucking... evil corporation.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it, trying to
Like $300 fucking for a shitty plastic ring.
and the parents are just having to cough it up because they don't know how to say no to their kid.
Yeah.
I hate high school. Macy knows she was there.
Yeah.
She was also in high school.
Yeah.
I think parents feel like they have to because, like, high school kids desperately need these rings. Like, for some reason, for validation, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then the parents have to end up, they take their parents' money for it.
Yeah.
And the parents feel like they have to because, otherwise my kid's not going to feel special if they don't have a fucking ring.
Have you seen people that still wear them?
Oh my god, they're the worst type of people.
There is someone who I work with that is also an anti-vaxxer who wears both her high school ring and her college ring.
You didn't tell me about the rings.
Yeah. And I don't know which one's worse.
But all of
They're
them.
both bad, but like, who the fuck also gets a ring in college?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
No.
I asked her about it.
We would have like UW Whitewater. Wow.
She wears one on each pinky.
Would she go to UW Madison or something?
Uh,
Or Edgewood?
Stevens Point?
Who cares about fucking Stevens Point? Like, I know people that go to Stevens Point, and it's literally Whitewater, but also in a different place.
Yeah.
It's like,
Also, she didn't graduate.
what the? Okay. Okay. What'd she get a ring for? Like, the first year she attended or something?
She did 3.5 years, and then she never did her final semester.
Why?
She had a pregnancy scare, so she dropped out, but it was just a scare. It was like she was like a week late, so she dropped out of school.
Dude, is she still with the dude?
I have no idea.
Because I feel like I would have known the fuck out if I saw someone that was like, okay, yeah, I know we had that scare, but you just fucking dropped out of college
Yeah.
when you're this close.
And
Yeah.
like,
She's getting married in a couple months.
a
Oh, poor guy.
semester isn't 9 months. You can
A semester's like
absolutely-
18 weeks?
Yeah.
You can absolutely like be pregnant and finish up college.
And no one would know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Nobody would care.
Yeah.
You know, it's college.
This is going to be the most non-movie focused podcast we have ever done.
There's nothing to talk about. It was.
All we
just
could talk about is
bad.
the reality of high school.
So before we start talking about High School Musical 3, senior year, the hour and 52-minute long 2008 drama comedy musical,
Dramedy.
I'd like to first talk about any positives we have. Is there anything good that you can say about this movie?
Vanessa Hudgens pretty hot.
That was my one thing. I was like, she has some very tasteful cleavage.
And her feet.
She had some big ass motherfucking feet, dude. That was okay. Even in that scene, spoilers, I guess, for High School Musical 3, if anyone gives a shit. So there's that scene.
Troy's actually gay. What?
Oh, that would have actually been interesting. No, that's just called Glee. But so there's that scene where they're having like a picnic in her room because she snuck into her room. And she was like bouncing her leg the entire fucking time. And it was so goddamn distracting. Like I couldn't look at anything else other than just her leg bouncing. And it looked so awkward and like uncomfortable. It was like, bitch, just stay still. It's like a 40-second shot. Do you need to bounce your leg right now?
I don't know. Maybe someone has some experience with that. All the time, fucking restless leg syndrome over here. Drives me nuts. Nah, it's okay. I do it too. But no, then we noticed her feet because of that.
Yeah, she has massive, massive kids next door looking feet. That's how we put
Still
it.
ranks pretty high up there, though, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm fine with
Especially when
the
I was
feet.
in high school, like, oh, goddamn.
I ain't looking at the feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is getting creepy.
Vanessa Hudgens, why don't you listen to our podcast?
What else she has going on? She was in that fucking Netflix movie where she played twins that swapped roles. How inventive.
What, Lindsay Lohan?
Pretty much. Just less coke.
I bet if anyone's listening, they can tell that this movie fucking drove us insane, and we are no longer on the same plane of existence.
So I guess we should talk about, though, why this is so bad. Because I don't remember High School Musical 1 or 2. I don't at all. But there's a part of me that wants to believe that they weren't this bad.
I don't think they were. I mean, like, it's been years since I've seen them, but, like...
I don't see a movie being this bad and then getting 2 sequels and becoming like a cultural phenomenon like the first one was for a while. Yeah. But this one, it's just so aimless and so lazy. Like this has to be the laziest movie I've seen in years.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that might be because they tried to stretch it into a feature length. You know?
Maybe. I'm gonna look up how long the other two are.
Yeah, because I feel like it's almost like they had so much time to fill, they just filled it with useless stuff that had no context to any storyline or character development.
So High School Musical 2 was an hour and 51 minutes.
Oh, really?
Not High School Musical on Stage, Bane. Why the fuck am I on Bane?
So you can get the points.
I need them rewards. High School Musical 1 was an hour and 38. So really not much longer. Only about like 10 minutes longer.
It felt like so much longer.
Well, and it's just every time... Okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about, since I knew we would be in this position. One of the things I thought would be interesting to talk about, especially since we're going into a musical film's rotation, is to talk about what makes a good musical.
Right.
And then why this movie is not that. Also, I know we aren't getting into ratings yet, but High School Musical 3 has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is bullshit. High School Musical 1 has a 56. So apparently, more critics thought that High School Musical 3 was okay than High School Musical 1.
I don't think reviews for this type of thing are going to be anywhere near accurate.
Well, yeah. And High School Musical 2 was a 57. So apparently we're watching the best one right now.
And I don't think so.
Yeah. I refuse to believe that this is the best one.
Like, I would give even the first one the benefit of the doubt because it was something different targeted towards an audience that hadn't really been targeted with, like, musicals, really. Like, live-action musicals. And so, I mean, I can give it the benefit of the doubt for that. You know?
Well, and I would have to think that at least in the first one, there would have to be some sort of conflict. There would have to be some sort of building the relationships, which is so much more than even this movie has going for it, because every single character is already fleshed out as much as they can be.
Right.
Every single one has no arc whatsoever. And it's just like, this entire movie is structured in that you have one scene with two characters that talk about something, and it's really awkward, and there's no chemistry, and it's really stagnant. And then they sing a song talking about the same exact thing they just talked about in the scene, and then that song drags on for fucking ever, and has like 7 different sets, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense. And then they have another short scene afterwards in the same location where they reiterate it a third time, and then you just move on to do that again.
Yeah.
And that's every single fucking scene.
Yeah, which is why, and it introduces the characters like you already know everything about them. There's no development. There's no conflict between them because it's been the same conflict for every movie, but they just get lazier with it. Because the first one, it was about, you know, Troy having to decide basketball or like the music.
Yeah.
You know, and by choosing music, he chose, you know, like Gabriella.
Yeah.
And the second one was kind of the same deal. You know, they were gonna like he again had to choose between like his career, was that with music or something, with because of Sharpay, like she was gonna sponsor him or something like that, or Gabriella.
The second one, I remember they got jobs at the golf course or something.
Well, yeah, and he had to again. It was another.
And then they ended up breaking up in the second one.
Yeah, because it was another choice for them between the two. Like, and it's always the same thing. It's Troy has to pick between this and Gabriella.
Right.
And every single one of them, even with this one, it was like, you know, she's going to college. Do I pursue basketball or go to the musical college?
Yeah.
Well, I won't do either because, well, I guess he settled for something less because of her.
Right. You know, so it's always the same thing. And it seemed like they didn't even try with this one. They're like, let's just do the same thing again, whatever. We'll sing a bunch of songs. We'll get it over, throw it out there, make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You know, at least the first two actually seemed like it built up the tension a little bit more. You know, like musically even. Because, I mean, they had that one school scene when he came back at nighttime and the room was rotating and stuff. And it
Which was the one thing I liked.
Yeah.
I guess I should have said that in the positives. There's that one part where, like, the hallway's rotating and he's sliding up and down the walls. And that was okay.
You know?
Yeah, it was like, all right, you're trying something, and it's moderately well executed, I guess. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, because the first one, I mean, that's when they introduced the conflict and how, like, his character's going to have to define himself. You know, which in the motif of, like, high school kids trying to figure out who they are, like, yeah, I get it. It makes sense in the context of the film.
Yeah.
But then the second one, it was like they're starting to get a little bit older, more mature with it, I guess. That's what they were trying to go for, you know. And again, I mean, I think Zac Efron had some like the one golf course shot, his solo piece.
Yeah.
Where it's basically that's like the climax where he decides what he's gonna do.
And it's pretty much Footloose.
And it's pretty much
Footloose scene here, and they had one in the second one.
Yeah, and those are always like the strongest pieces because it's like, okay, then there's actual conflict that they're talking about, internal conflict. I mean, even if it's like in the context of a children's movie,
Yeah.
At least you know what his problem is.
Yeah.
And like what he's going through to try and figure it out. In this one, it's just like I don't even really know what the big issue was.
Yeah.
Like at all. I don't know what his problem was. Like, was it that
just which scholarship he wanted to take?
Right. And I still don't know really what the resolution of it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So let's talk about what makes a good musical. And so, what to you would you think are like the most important pillars of a good musical?
Well, I think the first thing is the music has to serve a purpose to conveying emotion, because music conveys thoughts, emotions, and feelings, all that stuff that words and normal dialogue can't. And that should be the point of a musical, because it makes you feel something instead of just understanding it. Because if someone tells you, hey, if you want to go really dramatic like High School Musical, someone tells you, hey, I don't know who to pick, should I go to basketball, or I don't know how to, or if I should go with my girlfriend or whatever, go to musical school. Then you're like, okay, that's a problem, whatever, we'll figure it out. Like, the music should try and convey what that feels like to be in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of, like, a musical in general, is to make it feel more connected to the person's problem, feel more empathy for it. And I think that's probably the most important thing for musicals, and that could be conveyed in either doing it in a really obvious way, like a lot of like older 50s type, 60s type musicals, like fucking Guys and Dolls or whatever, or
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. What's the one with Maria, West Side Story kind of shit? Where it's like, okay, here now we're performing almost like we're on a stage kind of thing. Or there's stuff like Les Mis where they don't pretend, like there isn't any fourth wall breaking. Yeah. And so those are like the two main ways to do it. And this one seems like a big exaggeration of the former. Yeah.
Well, especially there's that really interesting scene where it is Sharpay and her twin, whose name I don't know. And they're like singing about the future and how they're going to be big. And then it comes back and it was like all in their head and like nobody was noticing. Yeah. And I thought that was weird because typically when it is like a musical, if there is a number, everyone's in on it. Right. And it's all completely unified. But then they threw that in, but then that never happened in the rest of the movie. So it was like, is this all in their heads, or was everyone just ignoring them?
Right. Is it like a theoretical kind of thing?
Yeah. Like you have to pick a lane and kind of stick with it.
Right. And I mean, like, I know I keep coming back to it, but like I feel like Les Mis was probably a prime example of like a well done musical.
I would disagree completely, but that's okay.
But that's I like I don't like the acknowledgement of the audience. I hate that in musicals. It just pulls. I hate that in anything. Yeah. Like I hate being pulled into the fact that I'm watching something. And I like how.
Is that why you hate Deadpool?
Well. I like Deadpool. All right. Don't talk shit about my Deadpool.
Gotcha.
That's a different sense. Like you're supposed to be aware that the fourth wall is being broken. Like that's his character in the comics too. He's always aware in the comics.
But like I'm not really a big fan of Les Mis. As far as like I don't want to watch it, but I like that style of. If you're gonna do a musical, I like the style where it's part of a way of expressing dialogue, and it's not like, hey, we're gonna put on a tune for you and then go back to real life. I hate that shit. Or like even Sweeney Todd, I kind of like that same vibe. You know what I mean? Okay. Where it's almost more operatic, I guess, in that sense.
It's not such a huge production.
And I mean, I want the songs to convey the emotion where words can't. I don't want it to be like, hey, we're just going to do a show because it's entertaining. That's not. I don't think that's the purpose of music in general. Okay. It's to be entertaining. Like, musical or just actual audio. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of my biggest problems with musicals in general, and why I tend to not like them, is that they're just so unsubtle. Because it's like anytime they sing a song, like you're talking about, how it gets the emotions out there, and it's so ham-fisted, and it's always just, let me tell you how this character's feeling for 3.5 minutes instead of just showing me how he's feeling and then moving on. Right. And I felt like that was a big problem that High School Musical 3 had, and that it was any time a character had an emotional beat, they had to have a song about it.
Yeah, and I think High School Musical, I guess partially because of its shitty, partly because it's made for children.
Yeah,
is that the emotions it's trying to convey are super shallow.
Oh yeah.
And the music kind of reflects that.
Mm-hmm.
So
which I think goes back to the laziness of because I mean, even I know you weren't making this excuse, but I always hate the excuse of it's a children's movie.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's always movies like Kubo and the Two Strings.
Well, yeah.
Where it's like that movie has a lot of really fucked up shit, like deep emotional processes that character has to go through, but it's still a perfectly fine children's movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Kubo.
I haven't, but I mean, I get the context. I've seen other films from the group and everything. But
yeah.
And I use that excuse because there's a certain demographic for what you would call, for children.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole Disney Channel thing.
Yeah.
Is all about just dumbing down content to just appeal to the stupid kids that the parents just dump them in front of a TV.
Yeah.
It's made for people that don't care for emotional development.
Yeah.
It's the type. That's why it's High School Musical and why it was so appealing to so many people because they're like, oh, that's everything. That's perfect. Everybody is happy all the time and together. It's like there's no real genuine emotion or reality to it. Yeah. Which is the whole Disney Channel vibe, making kids try and feel like they're adults living this wild, fantastic life. And I noticed that's more of a modern kind of trend because shit, even back in the 90s, kids shows and stuff were not this. Kids didn't get babied this much.
Yeah.
Emotionally even. Shit like Rocko's Modern Life. He was a phone sex worker. I don't know. So I don't really know where I'm going with it, but
so I think one of the other big parts of musicals that are pretty important is the drama of them, because you have, I mean, even another musical that I absolutely cannot stand, but that is very popular is Rent, which a lot of people claim does it very well. It's all about these characters and their interactions and their situations and how those coincide with each other as these relationships develop. And I've always thought that with musicals that is really important. Even something like Tenacious D, which we almost watched instead of this, it really is, at the end of the day, just about those two characters. And then the music is sort of just tangentially related to that and is an avenue into their relationship.
Right.
But I think, again, that's just completely absent here. Because there's no real drama. There's no real character relationships whatsoever. And anytime two characters are together, it's the most awkward fucking thing on screen.
Well, it almost got to the point. It almost got there a little bit when Gabriella was breaking up with him over the phone, basically saying, "Hey, I'm gonna stay here. I'm just moving on with my life."
Yeah.
And then he just comes back. He just goes and visits her, and then everything's hunky dory again.
It's 40 seconds later that.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's the minute they started to build something that's almost like a real emotionally costly situation, they're just nah.
Yeah. I did find it interesting, though. A couple episodes ago, we watched The Graduate. And I found it really interesting, the sort of parallels here of her going off to college and him following her, just trying to win her back. But The Graduate had such a real depiction of it, of her kind of being like, oh, fuck, that's kind of creepy, I don't really know, and then moving on. And then this one said they drive 15 hours somehow in a 24-hour day to be back in time for the musical.
Yeah. Where was prom? I was promised prom.
Yes. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to get into, and I guess this is another thing that's really important for musicals to tie it in more.
Prom.
Is prom. I think most musicals have, I don't mean this in a negative way, but have very simplistic plots, right? You have to be able to easily follow what's happening because so much of the screen time is taken up by songs. So if the plot's fucking really convoluted, like Memento or some shit, you're just not going to be able to follow it, or it's going to be so much harder to convey that. But this movie's story is amazingly baffling. No Disney movie should be this hard to understand.
No, and it wasn't hard to understand because it was convoluted. It was hard to understand because it was poorly fucking made.
And there's just chunks just missing, and just nothing is incorporated later. There's no foreshadowing. It's just you start off and you have the introduction of them winning the state championship or whatever, national championship, some basketball championship.
Yeah, whatever.
Which also, you can't make basketball cool. I refuse to believe that anybody finds the basketball of this fucking movie cool.
Just all the jocks and prep kids and stuff from high school.
Ugh. Anyways, so you start off, they win state, and then for some reason, they all get signed up for the musical because the girl just writes all their names on a sheet.
And then they're in it.
Yeah, and then the teacher's like, okay, yeah, this totally isn't one person's handwriting that was written in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You're all in the musical now. And then they all just go with it for some reason. And then they're in the musical, and they decide to make the musical about their senior year. And make it about the prom that's coming up. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's right.
Yeah. They're like, all right, we're going to do it. Because they're standing there, and they say, oh, let's make it about prom. Because they have introduced that there is a midnight waltz or something themed for the prom, and the prom's coming up. And they make a very big deal of Zac Efron asking Vanessa Hudgens to prom, and Corbin Bleu asking token black character number 2 to prom. And so prom is happening. We have established that prom is happening, and it's going to be a center point for the tension and the story.
Yeah, there's like a whole thing where all the guys are trying on suits, all the girls are trying on dresses.
They're all freaking out. How are we going to do it? Corbin Bleu has to ask his girl out twice in 2 back-to-back fucking scenes.
Because she was like, no, you can't ask me normal.
You have to make a big deal while I'm wearing my ascot. And so prom is established. And then they're working on the musical. So you intercut back and forth between prom and musical. And then we find out that Troy Bolton has been considered for a scholarship to a musical college, along with 3 other people in the musical. Who gives a shit? But he also, real quick, after winning the state championship, got completely accepted, got offered a scholarship, accepted the scholarship, got accepted to the college, and accepted onto the team as a starter at another school, along with Corbin Bleu, all within the span of like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so now you have that conflict, and prom's coming up, and so they're making the musical about prom. And then they're preparing for it, and then Vanessa Hudgens goes off for some fucking honors program. And then she's like, I'm not coming back. So like, okay, she's only gone for 3 weeks. It was a 3-week honor program they established. So then they just skip 2 weeks, and they're like, okay, now it's time for the musical. It's coming up. And so they also just completely relearned the musical with new actors in 3 weeks. And then Zac Efron goes and visits her because she's not coming back. And she says, oh, prom's tonight. We'll never make it back in time. But then apparently they're talking about the musical because they make it back halfway through the musical. But we never see prom. And the musical is just stage productions of all the songs from earlier in the movie.
And also, the musical is also their graduation ceremony.
Yes. They
Kinda.
also, well, they stage the graduation.
Oh, yeah.
But at that fake graduation, they tell a kid he's graduating on stage. They give out multiple scholarships. Zac Efron...
They put him on the spot and say,
Put him
hey,
on the spot. Say, what the fuck are you doing with your life, you 18-year-old child? And he reveals his grand plan in front of his parents, in front of his girlfriend, in front of everybody who had no idea. Even though they never brought that up at all.
Well, especially, and those people from the schools that were going to go give scholarships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, how they were like, actually, that's Troy Bolton.
Yeah.
You know, and then they gave it to him and he's like, nah, you know, I'm going to Berkeley instead. Like, where the fuck did Berkeley come from?
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, well, we're just going to give it to these 2 other people just to wrap up their fucking B stories. Who gives a shit? And also, let's also not forget, I just completely remember that there's the B plot of twin rich boy asking out nerdy composer hipster girl to prom, which has made a huge deal, and then is never fucking brought up.
Because he was supposed to ask her to prom, so that way he could get her to write the songs for him and Sharpay, so they can get the scholarship. But she still wrote the song for Troy. And Gabrielle.
Yeah, and him and Sharpay never even sang together. And because he did one song that was originally him and Sharpay, but this time it was just him, and it wasn't even Sharpay's understudy that, like, usurps her and tries to become the new Sharpay, because there's also a C plot where there's little children versions of Sharpay, Tro, and Corbin Bleu, and then they just kind of pop up. They have their own little sub D and F plots. They skip E plots. They have D and F plots.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of dissipate as well. And then there's a random joke where one's a pimp on stage, and then the musical makes no fucking sense because there's no narrative. They have like 3 sets that they just can somehow change. They have all this technology. They have 40-year-old background dancers. And then everyone just fucking loves it and does a standing ovation after every single song. And then people are just doing shit free willy. It's like a fucking improv musical.
Half the people aren't showing up on time.
Yeah, they came in halfway through, and everyone's just like, that's
Same
fine.
character.
And the other ones, they're sitting there doing the build-up, and somehow they managed to choreograph the one pimp guy coming in to save the day, like, perfectly.
Yeah, it's mind-bogglingly lazy.
This is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, you couldn't even... Like, there's so many just core tenets of screenwriting. Where, like, if you really just sat down, bought a screenwriting book, watched the 5 most generic movies ever, you could write a coherent movie that has just the fucking 3-act structure, the second act falling out. It's not difficult to make a generic movie.
And it would still be okay.
Yeah, and it would just be like, okay, whatever, it's a generic fucking musical.
But
Who
you
cares?
won't, like, have regret watching it for, like, 2 hours?
Right.
You know?
At least your regret wouldn't come from the script.
Right.
But this one is just... It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling.
Like, as far as actual, like, filmmaking goes, there's nothing good about this.
No, not at all. Not a single thing. The music's awful.
The shots are fucking boring. The
Boring,
acting
yeah.
is awful. Like, the fucking, what is it, the screenwriting?
Yeah. There's no chemistry between any of the romances. There's no interesting interactions. There's no good lines.
There's no conflict.
No, not
Not
at all.
really.
Not at all. Any conflict is wrapped up 30 seconds later.
Yep.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's pretty much it. It's a fucking shitty movie.
I think the second one had more emotion, I guess, because there was a whole big thing where they broke up, and that's actually like a huge deal when you're in high school.
Well, then, I mean, like, at least it's like real character development, you know?
Emotion, yeah.
Like, this, they didn't even really break up, but they did. I don't know. Like, it was really
Yeah, that
anticlimactic.
was
I mean,
resolved, and you didn't feel anything from it. You know?
like, he was all distraught. Like, it was like, you know, some powerful shit when she broke up with him the first time, you know? He's running around, like, punching the ground and stuff.
Yeah, he had
Getting
the
all,
golf
like-
course.
Yeah, he was getting all...
Footloose scene.
Yeah, it is Footloose scene. He was getting all, like, you know, fucking, like, into it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, everything fucking sucks. I can't decide. Who am I? You know, and this one is like the same thing happens, and he's like, I'm going to lay in my bed.
Yeah.
And then Corbin's going to tell me something, and I'm going to go talk to
Drive
her.
15 hours in a tuxedo in
And
my
I'm gonna-
shitty truck.
I'm going to go sit in a tree for 4 hours until she shows that happens to walk by, and then...
Well, there's also so many scenes that happen that don't matter at all. Like, there's a whole junkyard scene of him fixing his truck, the fuel pump.
It just shows that him and Corbin have a backstory. Or something.
Yeah, and then, like, they do this whole fucking awkward-ass number where they're pretending to be ninjas and superheroes. And it's pointless.
Well, because it's like, you know, look how far we came together. You know, this is the end of that segment. You know, it's like, but there's no point to it.
You could completely take that out of the movie and nothing would change at all. Same with...
You could take this entire movie out of the movie and nothing would change.
except we would have 2 hours of our lives back. I mean, and there's the whole conflict with his dad where he finds out that he has been offered a scholarship and he's like, what the fuck is this? And then Troy just walks off and then it's never brought up again. I don't think his dad's even in another scene until after the musical.
Not really, no.
Which is another thing. They leave the musical at the end to go into the gymnasium and shoot baskets for like 10 minutes. And then they just go back to the musical. What fucking else is there to do?
Like, and the entire school revolves around Troy.
Yeah, the entire thing. The entire, like, 3-story mansion-esque fucking high school with a sky garden and an automobile repair shop with classic
and
vehicles.
all these parents of it, all these other kids are like totally like, fuck yeah, go Troy. You know, it's like,
thank God for Troy.
dude, I'll be like, who the fuck is that kid? Like, you know,
Bieber-ass motherfucker, get out of here.
this isn't all about
I don't
you.
care about you and your Vanessa Hudgens girlfriend.
Vanessa, big feet over here.
They're so big.
They're size 7s, if anyone's asking.
Marty's well acquainted.
On wikifeet.com. Check it out. It's a real thing.
So one other thing I wanted to touch on about how awful this is the music. Right? So I don't know any songs from the first one except for the one big one or whatever. That we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And Get Your Head in the Game. Is that 2 different songs? Or is that one
Yeah.
song? Is that 2 different songs?
I think so.
Okay, I know 2 songs from High School Musical. Vaguely. But I thought the music in this one was just dreadful.
like everyone sounded exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like it was mixed the same. They had like 18 billion people singing all at the same time, and they like faded it into the background, over compressed it. Like it was just musical fucking trash noise coming at my ears.
Well, and even when you look at just like how it's written, like it's all every song sounds exactly the same. Every song is way too long, and it all just bleeds together. Like they do like a little bit of an intro, and then they just say the chorus over and over and over and over, while they just keep going through all these costume and set changes. I mean, every single time there was a song, I think all of us lasted maybe 30 seconds, then we
Before
started
pulling out
talking
our
about other
phones.
shit,
Yeah.
and just completely ignored it.
Well, I mean, and that's so that way all like these fucking middle schoolers can sing along to it because they already know the words after the first 2 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So one of the other things I thought we could do, sort of add on to it, is read the 4 critic reviews offered by Google.
Oh no.
'Cause I thought they would be interesting to look at.
Okay.
So the first one is from Times of India. High School Musical 3 follows a similar storyline where a bunch of drama school undergrads must put up a musical before they go their separate ways. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks, Google. Also, they're not undergrads, they're high school students. And then one from Plugged In by Paul Assay. Troy and Gabby sing, dance, and make googly eyes at each other. ... Again.
Accurate.
He gets it. And then Common Sense Media by S. Joanna Robledo. Earnest, schmaltzy, and wildly entertaining, the first film in Disney's enormously popular High School Musical franchise to debut on the big screen proudly wears its heart on its sleeve.
Joanna, if you're listening to the Default White Guys Deus Ex Cinema podcast, you can go fuck yourself.
Find a new career. And then Helen O'Hara of Empire. If you're under 12, you won't be disappointed. If you're over 12, the fact this is as funny and bright as it is insipid won't stop you from avoiding it like the plague.
I don't know about that one.
I don't think I laughed a single time in this movie that wasn't laughing at it.
Yeah, exactly.
There wasn't even any, really, too many, like, attempted jokes.
No.
Like, it just happens. People just talk, and then they sing, and then it moves on. They're like, there's no comedy at all, really.
No.
I can't think of any jokes.
I can't
Troy
either.
tried to be funny the whole time, like quirky, I guess.
Yeah, look how wild and crazy he is. Wow. Fucking-
And the jokes
hate
weren't
this movie.
really. Yeah, they were like shallow jokes. They weren't really funny at all.
All right, and then our final things, let's talk about its review scores and its budget. So its budget was $11 million.
Fucking God.
It made $252.9 million.
That's a fucking profit, man.
Let's see, when did this come out? 2008. 2008 top grossing movies.
High School Musical 3.
So the top one was Dark Knight.
Fair enough.
Deserved.
Yeah.
Let's see how much that made though. So that made $531 million. So pretty much double. Then after that was Iron Man at $318 million.
And again, you know, first foray into the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Indiana Jones, $317 million. Hancock at $227 million. This one's probably the most. There's probably 2 here I would say that are the most relatable target audience wise. Would be Twilight at $176.9 million, and then The Chronicles of Narnia: Prince Caspian at $141.6 million. So it did pretty well for itself.
So it
I
made
forgot
more
about
than Twilight.
Hancock.
Well,
Don't think so. I think profit-wise, maybe.
so this one's saying it only made $90 million. This website here, thenumbers.com.
But either way, I mean, it's pretty comparable,
Yeah.
which is surprising to me in some ways, you know?
Yeah, even making $90 million, that's a really good profit off 11.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, 11, you know, typically the rule of thumb is you double it for advertising. So that's like $22 million
Well,
spent on it.
Yeah, especially because it's just like a school setting, you know?
Yeah,
and
it
it's,
had like 3 sets.
and
That's it.
there's no special effects aside from the basketballs. They
Shitty CG basketballs. I forgot about those. When he's sad, so he breaks into the high school in the middle of the night and dances around, and then his teacher is just there for some reason in the middle of the night,
Fucking vampire.
sitting in the dark in the auditorium thinking, oh my god. Alright, and then its ratings, it has a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 57% on Metacritic. Marty, what would you rate High School Musical 3 senior year?
2.
A 2. Why would you give it a 2?
I wouldn't give it I won't give anything a 1, I don't think, unless it's just like freaking crayons.
I think I've given very few movies a 1, and one of them was the Beauty and the Beast remake. I think it has to be something like that, where it's awful in every way, completely pointless, and almost insulting that it even exists. Especially now that we're getting 3 live-action Disney remakes just this fucking year.
Yeah, with Will Smith.
Oh, God. Fucking Will Smith. Yeah, I think I'd also give it a 2. It's not quite a 1, because, I mean, clearly I think you could sit 9-year-old girls down and they'd enjoy this just fine.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't insulting to watch. It was just really fucking boring and pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Like, again, it was still a professionally made movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's saving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, would not recommend. 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. All right, Marty, you get to pick the next musical.
Well,
Also, though, sorry, real quick, sorry to cut you off. Is this the worst movie that we've watched for this podcast so far?
absolutely.
I agree 100%. All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I hope this wins. I hope this wins our musical rotation. All right. So what's your musical second movie that we'll be reviewing next week?
Since you did the random decision thing last time.
I did the troll pick.
You did the troll pick. I'll give you the option this time because I have 2 that might actually be fair contenders.
Okay.
So, give me 1 or 2. Pick a number. Just
2.
okay. We're watching Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh, okay. I've actually never seen that.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to.
It's the complete opposite of High School Musical in every way.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so then next Monday we will watch Pink Floyd's The Wall and talk about it. Hopefully it'll be better than High School Musical 3 senior year. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a 1.
The other option was Rock of Ages
Oh, God.
with Tom Cruise.
Oh, I'm glad I picked 2. I'm very glad I picked 2.
We could have watched The Rocker.
Oh, I like The Rocker with Rainn Wilson. That's good. That's a good one.
What about that one with Mark Wahlberg?
Rockstar?
Rockstar.
I used to love Rockstar.
Yeah, that had Jennifer Aniston in it too.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that all the time with my grandpa. Oh, shit.
But yeah, so...
There's also A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah, dude, I have that on DVD.
These are all better movies I should have picked.
Yeah, so, The Wall.
All right, that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us on SoundCloud and iTunes as the Deus Ex Cinema or YouTube as Default White Guys. And we're also on Instagram as Default White Guys. Thanks for listening.
We're going to go drink ourselves to a coma.